Quite often when you're building a swim pond, the requirements will be that the electrics must be kept out of the water, and that makes sense as water and electricity don't mix. So a lot of people will choose to use bubble pumps, as these utilise air to move water through the filtration zone to purify the water. This is a great solution as there's no electricity inside the water. The air pump can sit a long distance from the pond, and a hose can transport the air into the pond and power the pumps. The downside is that if you want to have streams and waterfalls as part of your pond's design, a bubble pump won't really work, as they aren't as effective at pumping water to any height or under pressure. So then you have external pumps like those used on traditional swimming pools. These will allow you to pump water wherever you need it and under pressure, but they aren't as efficient as submersible pumps, and they can get noisy. There are some that are very efficient, but they cost thousands of dollars, whereas efficient submersible pumps cost hundreds of dollars. So in this video I want to explain how you can plumb a submersible pump on the outside of the pond so that the electrical cords aren't inside the pond itself. If you don't already know me, my name is Kev. The aim of my channel is to help people build and maintain a pond without spending a fortune. If that sounds like something that interests you, feel free to subscribe and check out my website, Ozponds.com. The first thing I should mention is requirements for a swim pond. There's so many rules and regulation regarding pools, spas and ponds, and they'll all vary depending on where you live. So if you're going to do it properly, send an email to the relevant building authority or local government branch that covers such things, and get a written response on what you're required to do. That way, if someone says you can't do that or that's not right, you have written communications outlining the rules. Then secondly, if there aren't many rules, decide what you're comfortable with and what safety precautions you want to take, mainly in regards to electricity and fencing. Those are the two big ones. And I guess this goes to any pond. No matter what, you'll interact with the water, even if it's just waiting around for maintenance, dangling your feet in on a hot day, or kids trying to catch the fish. Anyway, that's not what we're here for. We're here to save money using a submersible pump externally. An intake bay or a skimmer pulls the surface debris into it so that it can be easily removed. It keeps the surface looking clean and can reduce maintenance. It also makes the pump or the pumps easy to access. So the pump is inside the skimmer or intake bay, and then plumbing is connected to take the water to the biological filter system. I'm not going to go into the biological filtration in this video. I have lots of videos on bog filters and why biological filtration is critical to a pond's success. I'll link a good overview video in the description if you need to learn more about the biological filter. Anyway, using a pump in this way is very simple. Everything is inside the pond. You can even run the plumbing lines inside the liner so that if there's a leak, you won't lose any water. The pump being submersed also keeps it cool and prevents it from overheating. The water is sucked into the pump via a protective cage that covers the pump's impeller, and that prevents large debris from getting in there and clogging or damaging it. And of course, because the pump is submerged, it can pull in water from all around it. If we want to plumb the pump externally, we want to have the pump below water level, but outside of the pond. The plumbing is the same as on a water tank. The water in the tank is higher than the pump, so the pump is constantly flooded or filled with water, even when it's not running. To do this for a pond, we excavate out a little area close to the skimmer or intake bay. We'll then need to bring a plumbing line through the side of the pond liner or skimmer box. To do this, you'll use a bulkhead fitting to provide a watertight seal. The plumbing line that runs from the main pond to the area excavated for the pump will need a protective manifold to stop large debris entering the pump. This is because we need to remove the standard protective cage to run the plumbing into the pump. You might like to reuse the protective cage and connect it to the plumbing, but I think you're better off creating something with a larger surface area. This will reduce how often you need to clear the manifold of debris. How you construct that is up to you. It could be something like doubling the diameter of the pipe and drilling lots of holes. It might even be a larger pipe with an open end covered with a coarse sponge. However you do it, the only important thing is that water can always get to the pump and large debris can't. Again, this is another reason skimmers and intake bays are useful, as they already prevent a lot of the larger material making it to the pumps. Before the plumbing line enters the pump, you'll want to use a valve that allows you to shut off the water to the pump. You'll also want to use a barrel assembly that will allow you to remove the pump without cutting the plumbing line. Same with the plumbing line that goes from the pump to your filters, streams or waterfalls. You want to have a valve to shut off the water and a barrel assembly. So now if the pump needs to be replaced, you can turn it off, shut both valves, undo the barrel assemblies and lift out the pump. Some water will be inside the pump and the plumbing between the valves, but if you didn't have them, you could start to drain the pond or the entire plumbing line that runs to your filters, streams or waterfalls, and that'd be a big mess. When the valves are open, water from the pond floods the pump and it can be turned on. It will suck in water and deliver it wherever you want the water to go. Because all this plumbing is external, it's very important that there's no leaks. If a hole in the liner scares you, it's also possible to have the pipework come up and over the liner. You'll still want the pump below water level. To do this, you'll need to create a siphon, the same like if you have two buckets beside each other and a pipe in the middle. If the pipe is filled with water and placed into the buckets, the water level in both buckets will equalise. It's the same like when you see people create fish bridges from one pond to another. Anyway, if you do it this way, you need to be able to flood the pipe that goes from the pond to the pump. The easiest way to do this is to have a T-piece with a screw-on cap at the highest point of the pipework. You can unscrew the cap and flood the pipe to create a siphon. Then when the pump is turned on, it will start to pull water or push water wherever you need it to go. The thing I don't like about this method is that if the pump's shut off, an air bubble could possibly form at the highest point of the connecting pipe and break the siphon. Then when the pump turns back on, it could run dry. Most submersible pumps do have dry protection, which means that they will turn off when they run out of water. But they only turn off for a certain amount of time and then they'll try and restart. So if you don't notice what's going on, you can still burn out your pump. With the area that the pump or the pumps are set in, you'll want that to be covered. One, it will look better, and two, it will help keep the pumps cool. Submersible pumps tend to not have high operating temperatures. You should also reinforce the walls with something. That could be rocks, landscape blocks or timber. You should keep the pumps up off the floor so they don't get covered in dirt and mud. If you can, you'll want some drainage. Sometimes the slope might mean that the backside is open so water drains away freely. Sometimes that's not possible. It's not the end of the world if the hole floods every now and then. After all, they are submersible pumps. But you want to do your best to prevent it from becoming a big old mess. I think that about covers it. In all my ponds, the pumps are inside the ponds. I've used low volt pond pumps. In the future, I think on the dream pond, I will switch to having them externally. I will still use the super efficient low volt pumps that I'm currently using. I have links in my website if you want to check them out. Anyway, I do hope this video was helpful. If it was, feel free to tickle the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching. See ya.